1. Yo guys, it's me Matrix here, and I understand it's been a few weeks now since we've actually had a VDL-S power ranking, so I thought I'd just go ahead and just blast through some of the rankings from the previous weeks of games. We are on to week 6 now, so this will only include games up to week 5, and it's just basically give an overall view of what the season's shaping up to be like at the moment. I'm not going to be providing too much in-depth commentary on some of the games that have been played, rather just a brief overview of how the teams are faring off as we enter the second half of playoffs, second half of the regular season before we enter playoffs. So, as I say, we'll try and be a little bit quick about things. We will start off with the rank number 24 team, which is the Inglorious Surfers. Now, the Inglorious Surfers are coached by Aaron T. Marshall. He took over from Toots, which is the Suffolk Suicune, and I think the Surfers have played maybe 2 games now, possibly 1. I don't remember how many games Aaron's actually played. He did shake up the team a little bit. He ended up getting some trades with Poliwrath, Yuxi, Sneasel, and Dracloak onto the team. I think Aaron's just here to have a bit of fun, obviously, to finish off the season for us. And like, the team isn't, in my opinion, the best of teams. I mean, there's a lot of underwhelmingly weak mons on the team. Like, yes, Sneasel is a support, but so is Dracloak as support, Porygon's a support, Registeel is like pure bulky defensive support. It can be bulky offense as well, don't get me wrong, but like in a max format, I don't feel like Registeel is as threatening. It is very much helped with Politoed though. I do like the Poliwrath pickup to really just complete that terrain core that he's got going on, and he's definitely tried to help implement the Virizion with a couple more fast beat up mons. Like, he's got beat up in numerous ways. Yuxi's a really cool defensive step piece, so really interested to see what he does in his last 3 weeks, but as of the moment, he is the only team, I think, to not net a win yet, so has to stay at rank 24, 0-5, minus 10. The team is yet to pick up a single set win. It's on the minimum score it could be on, so hopefully he gets a win somewhere in these next few weeks. Moving on to rank 23, we have the Tyranitata Sources and Sakimoto. So Saki is usually a really strong player, but I feel like this season he's been focusing a lot more on trying to have a bit more fun and creativity with the teams in a max format, because in a max format it does allow for a lot more creativity into how you approach a max style match, so you can have some really wacky strategies and stuff, and Saki's definitely been leaning into that a little bit more with like Weakness Policy Emolga, his Hypnosis, Gravity strategies, and I'm sure he's going to be looking to try and get some stronger wins elsewhere. This last week, I think he played against the Charlotte Beedrills, and he had a really cool Hypnosis lead with a Weakness Policy Glaceon. It was a really cool strategy, just failed to gain any real traction. So hopefully we do start seeing a win from Saki, like at least he's picked up a set game at some point, a 2-1 loss, but it would be really nice to see him to close the season out with some strong performances from a really strong coach. Hopefully he gains enough time to prep for some of those games, just so he can get at least 1 win. We move on to now rank 22, another takeover coach, but he took over the team pretty early on. It is the Old English Ice Cube, ranked 22nd, 1-4, minus 6. Now, since Gurch took over the team, I really like how the team's shaping up. It's a really fun team. Like, he's got this new hail mode with Bomber Snow and the Arctivish, which is a low-key pretty cool combination. The Arctivish can also be like going off the max hailstorms from like Azumarill. The Blaziken is really strong in this team as both offense and supportive, the same as Tapu Koko. He has just picked up the Nidoking recently, I think, so we'll see how that one works out for him. Duraludon's been a really cool special stat as well, but so far he's from watching some of the games he's played, it's been like a lot of RNG and a lot of hard luck on his side at the moment. Now, this team I believe has a chance of playoffs, with being 1-4 minus 6. Minus 6, you can stand to gain a 4-4 plus 0, but it will be difficult coming down to it. Wherefore, I don't think like the previous 2 teams, Stacky, I believe, has got no shot of playoffs. being an 0-5 team, he's completely out of the running. But this team is just on the borderline to be able to get there. And like, you can't really underestimate some of the combinations that this team has. Like Tapu Koko and Thievel's really strong. Art Division, Bomber Snow can be pretty cool. Blaziken plus coaching options into a few of the mons. Like, there's just a lot of synergy that the team can play off and bounce off of each other to really get some momentum going. However, it is hard to gain momentum when you are faced with such crippling luck. We'll move on to rank 21, and this is the Nova Scotia Cipher. Now, the Scotia Cipher were pretty low down on my initial rankings because not initial rankings, it's been pretty low down consistently through the season. I believe they started 0-2, managed to get 2 wins in the last 3 weeks, as well as a loss. They did have a strong win against one of the stronger players, so I do see them starting to progress to be even stronger again. It's just at this point, like, they're still pretty low on the rankings at the moment, pretty low score. But like, the team's pretty good, and I really like the team. When I misspoke when I said that I had a low ranking. I mean, they got the Comfey with Gujo, which is really fun. Decidueye, I think, is a really cool mon. It's one of those middling mons that has power, but also it doesn't really have a full amount of power, but like, it's tiered in the right place to where that's okay. Like, you don't get a Decidueye expecting to get a lot of power. It's more like just what it can provide the team and kind of fill in a few holes here and there. It's got some really good priority moves and good coverage. Cobalion, I think, is a really cool mon. Obviously, here they don't really have the beat up for it though, and that's kind of what's possibly letting it down a little bit, because you don't really want to be relying on Charizard to be a beat up mon, especially when Charizard is naturally slower than the Cobalion. It means that your Cobalion's only ever going to be able to hit that base 100 speed or just below it, unless you want to scarf Charizard into beat up, which isn't the most reliable method. But overall, the team's pretty cool. I think the team could definitely finish strongly. Potential for a 4-4 finish, if not a 5-3 finish, if they keep this winning momentum going forwards. At rank number 20, we do have the Shadow Ducks, which I think they traded out recently in the last few weeks Galvantula for the Tauros. I really like Tauros in the max format. I think it can be really good as a maxmon. I think it can be, especially without anger points, and admittedly the only way that they can guarantee the anger point from hitting is from a Storm Throw Pangoro, which means you kind of have to use like a Chopper Berry on the Tauros to prevent you from doing too much damage and activating that anger point, but it's pretty fun nonetheless. But aside from that, you've got a really good Sheer Force mon or Intimidate mon with great support tools. The team as itself, I mean, you've got Barraskewda, it's really strong, like Life Orb in Rain, you're hitting hard, and you don't always have to max, but like, you really find it hard to like outspeed this team with the fact that it's got Psychic Terrain to protect that Barraskewda, which is weak to priority attacks. As well as Whimsicott and Pelipper providing tailwind support or rain support for Barraskewda. Drapion being a very fast defensive piece, which is something that's a really unique trait that not a lot of defensive mons have, is being fast and defensive. But it's also got decent damage output and really is helped by that sniper ability to get a bit more damage. Still don't like the Swirlix, not gonna lie. I think Swirlix is pretty underwhelming, but who knows. And Sense Scorch, I think that's a really fun mon overall, so it's not been doing too bad, and I think this team started off 0-2 also, so like, they've definitely come away to get 2 wins in the last 3 weeks, which is really nice to see. Moving on to rank number 19, we've got the Midland Marowak, which was a team that started off pretty well. I think they started 2-1. Like, I think they lost 1 game in the first 2 weeks, and then they've managed to just lose 2 consecutive weeks. They picked up a Noivern for their Dracozolt along the way, which I think is reasonable. I mean, Dracozolt was kind of struggling to get any type of boost from a stand to get stand brush ability activated, and the only way you'd be doing that is by maxing the Regirock. And at least now he's got a consistent tailwind option, semi-consistent tailwind option, and Frisk is always a nice ability to have added onto your team. The Rotom Heat is pretty good. Riolo obviously coaching strats, and I think that's kind of where the Midland Marowak's been suffering a little bit recently, is from the obvious max mons like Regirock, Heracross, Rotom, like they kind of it's kind of expected what he'll do. Like it'll either be Weakness Policy or it'll be Lumberry or Assault Vest. So I think opponents are really prepping well for that Regirock and then just handling some of the other mons on the fly. And some of the sets like the Marowak, I remember bringing us some slightly inefficient sets with like the Lantern that was just sat doing nothing in one of those games, especially against, I think it was the Old English Skews. I just remember seeing the Lantern just sitting there clicking Icy Wind with no real advantage. So I think it's just more about positioning, improving the positioning and the prep of the game plan for the Marowaks, and they could honestly see themselves finish out on a 5-3, which would hopefully see them make playoffs. So, doing all right. We then move on to rank 18, the Pogging Porygons. Now, I actually would have put his original logo on here. I just used the sheets that were already available. And yeah, so rank 18, they haven't made any changes to the team in the past few weeks. They actually started off pretty poor, I think. They got like 2 losses after the first 2 weeks, and they've just slowly started to get some wins under the belt, which has been really nice to see. OC Frey is a strong player, so it's kind of surprising to see him so low down on the VDL list. But people can prep really easily for Regigigas Wheezing. That being said, I'm pretty sure there was a week where it just ran havoc and just destroyed the opponent. I think they just lost their most recent week, but it was a really closely contested battle. So that could have gone either way in either opponent's directions. I could be wrong. I could be saying, including the match from this week, but I don't remember off the top of my head. So yeah, the Moltres has been doing really well, and I really like Klefki as a screen setter. Like, it's such a really good supportive mon. I think the Pogging Porygons have been utilising it fairly reliably. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they adapt to try and finish out the season in a more positive record. So then we move on to the Darkside Guards, a coach who's basically identical to OC Frey in my opinion in abilities and stuff. I think OC Frey might be a little bit stronger a trainer, but the Zygarde Deppers, he definitely has the ability to perform really well. And the team is it's actually a really good team. Like Garchomp, Prim, Meowstic, and Volk, they're really good mons. Like, they're good 4-core that you can bring in reliably every week. And then it's just really choosing which of those other mons he wants to bring. Togedemaru can be a really big nuisance. So, honestly, I haven't really got too much to say because Deppers is one of those trainers who doesn't really record his matches, so you can never really know what his plans are or his point of view, and you can only really see from the opponents. But, like, Meowstic's a really good supportive mon. Garchomp's strong, and he's got some good ice resist and stuff, and the Primarina really helps there. Speed control wise, it's not the best, but as I say, we're not really doing a post-draft review here, we're just talking about some of the matches. I don't really have much more to say on this one. I will say though that between like the Pogging Porygons here, the Darkside Guards and the Marowak, and then our current rank 16, it's all pretty close, to be honest. It's very little differing them. But yeah, so we've got the Sacramento Sandslash over here at rank 16. They've made some big changes to the team recently. They have just dropped the Estelgor and Palisand combo, as well as the Conkeldurr and I don't remember the fourth one. Oh, I think it was Quillfish. So they picked up Golisopod, which I think is a really cool mon, really underrated. I prefer it in a non-max format, but like we saw at the World Championships, a Golisopod team made it really far, and that's in a max format with restricted. So, you know, Golisopod is not to be scoffed at. It's really strong. It means that the Sandslashers now have 2 wide guard options on their team, which is really nice, especially when they've got that Follow Me Togekiss mon. The opponents will want to be bringing wide guard, spread moves a lot, so now they've got options to try and prevent that. Standard Common is a really cool mon. I think it's really good in the max format. It's much better with like coaching ability next to it, so Surfetch isn't really providing that, but what Surfetch does provide is some really strong fighting coverage that opposing max normal types do not want to be facing off against. And then Delmise, it just provides the team with an extra piece of steel coverage onto the team that isn't Bisharp or Bronzong, because Bisharp can be pretty tricky to bring in some matchups, and Bronzong's not the most offensive mon, so it's nice to have like some extra steel, grass, and ghost coverage on that team. Really rounds out that Trick Room core a little bit more as well. Like you've got Tyranitata Special Mon, you've got the physical one in Delmise. This team is very much a team that wants to be in Trick Room, or at least wants to be bulkier builds to take those hits. Sorry, I'm just going to cough. So yeah, but that being said, they still have some of those faster options like Raichu, Gengar, and let's be honest, the Sacramento Sandslash aren't exactly a team that are afraid to max some of those frailer mons. Like we've seen Max Raichu come out from him on more than one occasion. So I think the Sandslash are a pretty strong team. They're doing really well. A little bit behind on the 2-3 record, but they still got a high differential, keeping them in it. So I can see them recovering pretty well in these next few weeks. And it'll be really interesting to see what they have in store for us in this second half of regular season. We move on to the rank 15th, which is the Athens Alchemy. Now, Jackie here, she's got a really cool Metagross team. I really like Metagross with Hydreigon. I don't believe there's been any trades made to this team just yet. I think since the opening weeks, they've definitely won out more games than they've lost, which is nice. I think they managed to get here with a possibly 2-1 in the last 3 weeks to make them 2-3. The Ninetales has been providing some good Aurora Veil coverage onto the team. I haven't really watched many of the matches that Jackie's played in yet. Hopefully there'll be a few more games I'll be able to see in the upcoming few weeks. But yeah, that's basically all I can really comment on this team at the moment. With it being 2-3 -1, it's keeping the differential relatively close. So obviously having a few 3-round games, so definitely keeping things close and in contention. Rank 14, we have got the Atletico de Mawao with Tom Elvis. I love some of the stuff he's done so far this season. I remember him maxing the Studowoodo against Saki. That was a brilliant match to watch. I'm pretty sure he's just posted his week 6 video, where he played off against the Barraskewda team. I haven't watched it yet, so I don't know the result of that. But it is kind of cool to see that they've got the Zapdos being a really good threat in a few of these weeks. I remember they had Zapdos as a threat in one of the previous weeks as well. So, yeah, 2-3 -1, another team really high contention to just creep into that top 12 for playoffs, which would be really cool to see. Really strong team, decently strong player. Yeah, so not much more I can really comment on here. I definitely have a few games to catch up on. I'll tell you that much. So this is only baseline commentary on some of these matches. So we move on to rank 13, which is the Morency. I'm going to pronounce it as Morency. I don't know, Morency, Morpeko. So yeah, you got the classic Indeedee Aromatisse. So Aromatisse have been out for like the Hatterene and that classic combination, but I really like Aromatisse. And like this is a team that's basically always going to get almost guaranteed to get Trick Room up. The opposing teams have had to be really creative to prevent them from getting the Trick Room up. And Hitmonlee plus Indeedee, in my opinion, is actually a pretty strong combination. So yeah, the only thing I'll say is like their faster modes aren't as good. So like if you can outbulk their Trick Room or like stall it out, they definitely struggle a little bit more. And they definitely suffer a little bit from like priority debuffing into like the Escavalier and the Arachnid. So that's something the team is struggling with. I say priority debuffing, I mean as in stuff like Intimidate Cycling and like Pranks of Sunny Day and stuff like that to stop the Arachnid from doing as much damage. And like you're not always going to have the Indeedee out on the field at the same time as like Escavalier and stuff, and so the Psychic Drain is always guaranteed to be there. But yeah, the team overall is doing okay. Morpeko and Pikachu are a little bit repetitive in their roles, but I actually prefer Morpeko to the Pikachu on this team. So 13, 2-3, -1. Again, another team that can easily just climb up into the top 12 in these next few weeks. Speaking of, in our top 12, one of the more impressive teams in these last few weeks, they started off the season with an 0-2 record and have managed to win out the last 3 matches to go on to rise at the ranks from one of the lowest ranked teams to being the exact midpoint, the Singapore Slingers. So it's a very classical Shifu team with the Cradilly support for Storm Drain. You've got that stand mode potential with Stoutland and Cradilly if they ever want to do that. But it's just a very much you need to prep for the Colossal type of team, and they've definitely caught out some of their opponents with that Colossal just absolutely going hard into the opponent. So they've definitely been on a winning streak as of late, and maybe they keep it up for these next 3 weeks, and we could be seeing them finishing off pretty strongly. So really excited to see. We move on to rank 11. Again, another decently strong team, Ninja Squirrels, 3-2+2. The only trade I believe they made in recent weeks is Toxtricity is now a Luxray, so they've definitely got this triple Intimidate core. They definitely don't need to be relying too much on the Scrafty or the Luxray to be Intimidate, which means they can actually run it as like either the Guts or the Moxie ability forms, which is pretty fun to have. And what's cool about the Intimidators on this team is that not a single one of them share a weakness with one another. So it's not like you're running an Incineroar plus Landorus, which are both weak to water, or an Incineroar plus Luxray, which are both weak to ground. No, you've got 3 Intimidate mons that do not share a weakness, which makes them pretty reliable to bring each week. The one thing I will say is that this team definitely benefits from Milotic with the special defense side of things, because thanks to Scrafty and Luxray both getting Snell, you're really going to be struggling against gaining momentum on this team. They do kind of rely on Landorus as the max target a little bit, I think, as the potential maximum. But I think that's fair to do when you've got 2 other mons that can be cycled for Intimidate, and Landorus is no joke as a max target. Airstreams, Quakes, you name it. But at the moment it is rank 11. It could be argued he could be a little bit higher. The only reason why he is at 11 is because he's basically tied with our rank 10th, which is the Snowball Blizzards. Again, another team that started off 0-2 and has won the last 3 games in a row. The reason why the Snowball Blizzards just edge out is because in the head-to-head, they did manage to beat the Ninja Squirtles. So it's only fair that the Snowball Blizzards get ranked that 1 position higher. What's really been cool is that they started off being what I felt was kind of predictable in their max targets. They have made some trades to get Gothitelle over Gothorita. They've got Malamar now, and they have Ninjask, which I don't think made too much difference overall to the team. They did lose the Aerodactyl, which is the fastest mon, but they did gain a Ninjask, but it's not the same. It's not like it's providing the same level of speed control that Aerodactyl does. Or the Unnerve ability that Aerodactyl does. And Malamar's pretty unique in the fact that obviously it gets Contrary with Superpower to really help do that damage output. But what was really cool is I believe in one of the more recent matches, it was a very cheesy way to win, per se, but like it's still effective. Like you can't discredit the ability of Perish Trap. And like between Lapras and Marowak both running Perish Song and the Shadow Tag Gothitelle, like it's still a very strong strategy that this team clearly is set up to be able to do. I mean that's why you have a G-Max Lapras, why you have a Shadow Tag Gothitelle, Marowak having Perish Song. Marowak only really needs like 1 or 2 moves anyway, so like the other 2 moves can be just Protect and Perish Song if you really wish. It's a really cool strategy that they employed, and who knows, they could be riding this momentum all the way now that they've found their footing here in the VDL, and they could easily finish out with one of the better records of the season. We move on to Alex's Diggersby, and this is rank number 9, and to be fair, I actually ranked them pretty low in the first week's power rankings. They have gone to prove me wrong quite consistently, which is really nice to see. I liked seeing coaches and teams perform really well and outperform my predictions of them. I felt that this team just kind of clashed a lot within itself, but they managed to, against the odds, win 3 games out of the 5 that they've played. +1 is pretty decent, and I kind of rank them a little bit higher just because the sheer impressiveness of some of these wins that I wasn't expecting to go in their way. They're doing really well though. 3-2 +1. Again, another coach who doesn't record, so some of the matches you can only see from their opponents if they record. So it's not like I can really give a huge amount of commentary on their games. That's if I've even watched them all. So yeah, the Alex Diggersby doing really well, and we move on to our 3-2 team here, which another 3-2 team, 3-2 team, and the Sky Strikers and Ted. So one of our fellow mods of the VDL, he is here in rank 8. I really like the team overall. I do think the Evilite issue kind of clashes between Morgan and Thwacky, but they do provide different roles in different weeks, and they're both mods that don't need Evilite at the end of the day. I feel like Ted could have been a little bit higher in his record if some other games went his way a little bit more. He's got a really strong team, in my opinion. So, like, I feel like he had a really bad matchup one week. I know that for a fact, which is what led to his loss, I think. It was just like he felt like it was unable to win at all. I failed to recall which team it was against. It might have been the Atletico de Mawal, to be honest, because they had that Zapdos, and I feel like Zapdos kind of goes hard into this team a little bit. Even with the Manectric there, like there is other options, like you can remove the Manectric, remove the Seismitoad, and then kind of getting a bit dodgy. But no, Ted's been doing really well this season. It's really nice to see him on a 3-2 +1 record. His history in VDL has always been a little bit shaky, but this season he's looking on to actually finish pretty strongly, possibly a second seed or wildcard contender. Moving on, we go to rank number 7, Cardiff Kamalas. Started off really strong, has had a few shaky matches in the last few weeks where he just failed to pick up the wins. But nearly all of his games that he's lost have been incredibly close. It's a really unorthodox team, but it's a really fun team. The Incineroar is just a really good Gloomon. Like, it's an Incineroar, what more... Sorry, hiccups. I don't know what you really don't expect an Incineroar to do well. It is quite versatile, even though it is an Incineroar. He's got a really cool rain mode with the Tornadus, Ludicolo, or Omastar. Having 3 water types is probably unnecessary, but it's still been good regardless. He's ran some really cool sets with Kling Clang. The Bouffalant's been really useful. The Claydol's been really good in some games. The Inteleon, powerful mon. The Kamalas have actually just been playing really well. And as I say, like, only in these last couple of weeks, he's just faltered a few games here or there, but in an incredibly close set. And this is reflected on their score. They're 3-2 +4. Like, come on. The 2 games that they've lost have been 2-1s, and the 3 games he's won have been 2-0s. Like, he's on the best score he can be on with this record. So, yeah, really well played in these last few weeks, and that is why he is ranked 7. I can actually argue here that the Kamalas are above the Charlotte Beedrills. One of the reasons why the Beedrills are just that little bit higher is due to one of their more recent wins, which is against the Oslo Berserkers, which up to that point the Berserkers were pretty much undefeated, I believe. So they might have taken 1 loss. I don't remember. So they definitely beat one of the top teams. I'm not, and this is why they just rank a little bit higher than Cardiff Kamalas this week. However, they will be facing off against each other in week 7. So I feel like rank 6, rank 7, potato, the same thing. It'll be really interesting to see how they perform. But no, the Charlotte Beedrills team is just a really well constructed team. It's faced off against some Trick Room threats and still managed to come out on top. Which is obviously this team isn't exactly built for Trick Room, but they managed to handle the Trick Room pretty well. As I say, like against that Sakimoto team, the Tyranitata Sources, where they had the Stiglitz the Fairy Trick Room, they managed to really perform well there. There's some really cool speed swap tech with the Safeguard, Rabombi. They've had some really hyper offensive sets with like Spectre Moltres or Life Orb Crocodile, and Tentacruel with Assault Vest a few weeks has just been really strong. That's not to say like they've also got like a Rotom there. The Glalie been useful in some cases, and Lucario's just been like a nice mon to provide some more offensive pressure. So again, a really strong team. They are literally just one score off the best they could be, which just means they've dropped a set, one more set than what a perfect record would show for a 3-2 team. Just means that one of their wins was a 2-1 win, or the losses was a 2-0 loss. So it's pretty strong. They've been doing really well. I feel like these next 3 weeks will be crucial to them, especially the next week or so. Like, as I say, they're playing a team that's around the same rank as them, and I feel like that can really just show which one is more likely to get into playoffs. I think one of these two teams, the Kamalas and the Charlotte Beagles, are guaranteed a place in playoffs at this point. And I think the one that will be guaranteed that place will be the one who wins this week's match. So it'll be really interesting to see how that goes. We move on to our ranked 5 team, which is the Georgia Gurchens, 3-2+3. Again, the same as our last team there. Again, arguments to be made that they could be on par with the Cardiff Mars or the Beedrills based on current reflections. I haven't actually watched too many Azam's games this season, so I don't really want to really pass comment too much on their performance this season. All I can say is that, again, like similar to the Beedrills, they've only really dropped a game once in one. Like, they've got a near perfect score for a 3-2 record. They've been doing pretty well. They have possibly could have been doing a little bit better, but they're still one of the stronger coaches in the league, playing rather consistently. And I mean, who doesn't want to see a Max Pinkerton? You know, like, I know that was some of his earlier games, was the Max Pinkerton. So, and I don't know if it was him. No, it wasn't him. So I was trying to think of a Scarf Naganadel, and I think that was in VDL-V, a V8, not Steering Shot. So yeah, Zam doing well. Again, I can't really pass comment on the team other than the absolutely amazing Pinkerton, which has been really fun to see in some of those games. But yeah, we'll move on to rank number 4, which is the Stealth Cronin Swords, and I really like this team. Like, I really like it. I remember watching a few of his games this season, and like Porygon Z has been an absolute menace for him as a Maxmon. I think it was in the first few weeks he played. He basically maxed Porygon Z in every game that he won. 4-1+5 record is pretty strong. Not quite the strongest it could be, but like, as I say, still pretty good. At this point in the season, it's almost guaranteed a place, and if he wins his Week 6 match, which has already been played, so go check it out over on the Stealth Cronin Swords YouTube channel. The Max Porygon has been really crushing it as of late. I think he played the Pokemon Porygons last week with a maxed Steelix next to Alakazam, maybe? I don't remember. But yeah, pretty much every week he's been maxing the Porygon Z, and I remember against his friend Aaron T. Marshall, the Inglorious Surfers, this Spirit Tomb provided a really crucial amount of work. Was put in by the Spirit Tomb to really help him win that. So yeah, it's a really good team. And Crizzle's been playing really, really well these last few weeks, which is really nice because in VDL-V, he's always been one of the coaches who just about manages to make wildcard position. I think with this record at the moment, he's on for a top 1, top 2 finish in his division, which is really nice. Yeah, we move on to our rank number 3 team, which is the Oslo Berserkers, which was our rank 1 team on the last time we actually put out a video. They have made a few changes to the team. They have got rid of a few mons. I don't remember what they were. Maybe I think it was Gorygeist and something else, and they picked up Butterfree, Rotom, Fan, and Cherim. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of these changes, but I can see them wanting a Rage Powder Mon, possibly Butterfree, maybe a potentially ulterior Tailwind Mon to Suicune if they want to be maxing Suicune in a few matches. The Rotom Fan, I think, was replaced with Luxray, so for Luxray. I like Rotom Fan, don't get me wrong, it's a really cool Mon, like Will-O-Wisp, Impulse, really good supportive Mon. It's a Rotom form after all, and one of the cheapest ones at that. But they've been killing it with the Pheromosa, Glastrier, Entei, Suicune combo, to be honest, so far. I feel like these few changes that he's made down here have just been a little bit more like polishing up what he wants to do with the team. As I say, rank 3, 4-1 plus 6, really strong. And he's only lost to the Charlotte Beedrills, which again is why the Charlotte Beedrills was ranked a little bit higher in their positioning. So yeah, really solid performance from Klopsia and the Oslo Berserkers so far, and I'm really excited to see how he does in these last three weeks. I think, again, as another team, these top 4 teams are all teams that I expect to be rank 1 or rank 2 come the end of the season of their division. Almost guaranteed playoff holders, basically, without being guaranteed. So yeah, rank 2, we've got the Celadon Stuffles. And unconventionally, yeah, I've got them ranked above the Oslo Berserkers because they lost their opening game, I believe, the week 1, and then have gone on to win 4-0 since. So, like, current form, they're performing really well. Plus 6. They definitely had an interesting match last week. One of the last weeks, and I think this is a testament to the Old English Skews bad luck in recent weeks, where Imp Dimp provided the basis for the win by just completely disrupting, causing huge disruption. And I think this is a key point to this Eldon Stuffles team. They aren't so much a team of hit hard, hit fast, but rather bulky, take control of the game and the positioning and try and control the board a little bit more before making or committing to their end game plays. And I think that's a contrast to some of the other coaches of this league, where they've kind of been trying to focus on hitting hard, hitting first, or trying to provide some sort of debuffs. But like, this team doesn't really care too much for some debuffs, and they definitely do a really good job of nerfing and debuffing and slowing down the pace of the game, and allowing them to just remain in control whilst the opponents are kind of left scrambling to try and fight away through the pure bulkiness of this team. So that's my analysis of the team or the games and stuff as it is. And the reason why I say this is that most teams who have definitely, especially teams that have gone for 2 tier 1 options in the points and draft, have got like an offensive piece and a supportive piece, or double offensive. And this team has got what I would call an offensive support mon in Arcanine and a just medium offensive, quite defensive support mon in Clefable. And having these 2 tier 1s that are quite support orientated, both of which are capable of maxing, don't get me wrong, in the right situation, it really means that the opponents are struggling to break through and are often enough getting disrupted themselves, which provides a unique fighting experience for most of the teams. As I say, this is more of a unique team that doesn't that imposes its own game plan on top of the opponents. It's kind of forcing the opponents to play at their pace rather than this Stuffles adapting to play at the opponent's pace, which has been really cool, and it's really helped them succeed in these last few weeks. So yeah, and without further ado, we move on to our rank number 1 team, the very last one, and that is the Waterloo Warriors, or the Waterloo Phalanx Warriors, if you will. So yeah, my guy has been absolutely crushing it with his team. He is 5-0 +9, which means he's only dropped one set the entire time. He has got 4 2-0 victories and 1 2-1 win. And it's actually kind of cool to see because the team isn't exactly inherently strong, but it's like synergistically, it's been performing really well. And I think part of that is down to that Grimsnarl, that Mudsdale, which Mudsdale's a really hard mod to take down. Uniclus provides a good trick room support for it. And then Starman's, albeit not the best mod in the world, like intimidates max airstreams or stuff, can really help to just put the Warriors in a good position. And yeah, they've just managed to fend off the competition thus far, and it'll be really cool to see if they can do it for the next 3 weeks and see if they can finish off with that perfect season. They've got a few tough opponents ahead of them. They are at this point 5-0 +9, basically guaranteed a playoff position. I'm pretty sure even if they finish 5-3, the worst they can do is 5-3 +6 +3, which is almost fully guaranteed playoff position. Like it's a wild card at worst. So yeah, we'll definitely be looking forward to see how the Waterloo Warriors tackle playoffs and see if they can be the champion of season 3. With that is the end of the show. So yeah, this has just been a quick update on where all the teams stand at the moment in the VDL steering shot division. Send off to Dynamax season. And yeah, it's been me, Matrix. I hope you all enjoyed listening to my rambles this week. We'll try and give you another update video at some point on the season, whether it be myself or one of the other of the ranking committee, the VDL ranking committee. Sorry, my throat keeps wavering. I'm ill at the moment, so it just keeps on going away from me talking for a long period of time. And yeah, I'm looking forward to what playoffs bring in our last Dynamax season. And hopefully I'll give a rundown or introduction to playoffs at the very least. Until then, I'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for watching.